We've all joined squads in Hell Let Loose where we were just happy people were, talking. Then one day you jump into the squad and things seem different. When they moved together. When they fought, they always seemed to be in the right position or managed to put themselves in the right position somehow to deal with it as a unit. The level of communication and teamwork got you so immersed in the game that you were quite literally ducking the enemy's gunfire in your chair at home. And you just couldn't help but think to yourself, this is what Hell Let Loose is about. My name is Double O Douche. I was an original Kickstarter backer. I have over 2,800 hours in the game at this moment, and I'm one of the most experienced squad leads in the game. I've been an FPS gamer for over 20 years, was #1 in the world for Battlefield 4 in engineer score. Today, I want to share with you what I've used for years to build strong teams in FPS games. And hopefully with this, we can help you get the most out of your time here in Hell Let Loose. We're going to go over my basic infantry training. We're going to cover communication, suppression, squad movement, and bounding and flanking. Start with communication. While in combat, you want to keep communication limited to relevant information. Your awareness in combat depends on you being able to focus on your environment. Unnecessary chatter greatly diminishes this ability. Callouts should be clear and concise. Here's an example. Enemy infantry ×2, northeast, 150 meters behind the burned out tank. Very clear, very concise. Your squad knows exactly what you're going to have to deal with and where they are. You got to keep this. This doesn't tie up comms for longer than necessary to get the relevant information across. Learn the difference between the different types of tanks and infantry also so you can relay accurate intel. It makes a big difference if you're going to call out a tank position, whether it's a Jumbo 76 or a Tiger compared to a Panther or a light tank. And also, side note on that, there is a big difference between contact and movement. I hear a lot of people get this wrong all the time. When in a situation and you see an enemy infantry and your squad is in no danger, this is called movement. You have enemy movement that you see. Your squad is not in imminent danger. When somebody yells contact, that means you are in danger and you should be turning towards whatever direction was called out and start firing your weapon at the enemy. Even if you don't see him, just start shooting at him. Just get bullets downrange, keep the enemy's heads down. So moving on, fire suppression. That brings us right to our next topic. Suppression is controlled, sustained fire meant to achieve and maintain fire superiority in engagements. The more you keep the enemy's heads down, the more your unit is free to move about the battlefield. The idea is to have as many people as possible firing accurate, sustained fire downrange as possible. The biggest thing on suppressive fire is you do not want everybody in the squad reloading at the same time, and you do not want wild suppressive fire. A couple of rounds that you take your time with and put right over the enemy's head is a lot better than 30 wild rounds just wherever you can manage to put them because you can't control your weapon when it's going full recoil. Johnny, please demonstrate improper suppressive fire with the MG, please.
Firing.
With this, Johnny's dealing with so much recoil that he's fighting to keep that MG on target. The shots are very wild. The enemy can sporadically take time to pop up and take shots at Johnny. Now, please demonstrate proper suppressive fire. Notice the short burst. Johnny's able to easily keep his fire right where he wants it, over the enemy's heads, keeping their heads down for a longer period of time. Thank you, Johnny. Now, let's demonstrate improper suppressive fire with a pair of semi-automatic rifles. Say, I got 11 and Tendo here on my fire team. Go ahead, Tendo, 11. Just let loose on them. Improper suppressive fire. Go ahead. Notice both of them are reloading at the same time. Now the enemy has free reign to stick up and just do whatever the heck they want. So now we're going to demonstrate proper suppressive fire where they will communicate. And when one is reloading, he will say that so the other one knows to pick up the slack, and they will kind of tag team their fire. Start off, Tendo.
Fire. Reloading. Reloading.
There you go. Excellent job, guys. Thank you. Proper suppressive fire right there. Everybody in the squad knew when one of the fire team was out of ammo, and now anybody who's moving during that time knows to take cover because there's no suppressive fire, and the other people in the unit know to pick up the slack and jump up and start firing. And now only one person at a time is reloading. So very simple, very easy to do. It takes a little bit of communication and awareness of your unit. All right. And that brings us into squad movement. While we're moving, the squad that moves together kills together. Come on over here, guys. Being a game, there's many things from the real world that just aren't going to apply. Yeah, mainly there's respawn. So every time you kill the enemy, they're just going to kind of respawn and come right back at you. But there's also many formations in the real world that they won't use. So there are two, however, that are used, and they're used instinctively by good squads. And they do this just by the situation and their awareness of what's going on in the battlefield. So normally, if you're moving through and you know where the enemy is, and you're going to move in and try to attack them, instinctively, the squad will spread out in this pattern right here. The squad lead kind of in the middle of the 6-man, but everybody's spread out about 10 to 20 meters apart, at least, so they don't, get taken out by a single grenade or a tank round. And they're able to all face the enemy towards the east and advance or get as much fire holding their position as possible on an advancing enemy. The other formation that squads will use is called a column formation. Tend to go ahead and take point for me, bud. Everybody else fall into the column formation. Right here, like I said, no, you'll never hear a squad lead actually call this out in game for the most part. But if you're moving through a dense area like a forest in Harkin or Hill 400, you don't exactly know where the enemy is and you're not sure where you're going to take contact from. Generally, experienced squads will find themselves addressed like this. The squad lead kind of in the middle with one kind of supporting guy off to his left or right. You have a guy in the rear watching the rear of the group, and you guys have guys off to the flanks. The general idea behind this is no matter where the enemy attacks us from, if we're attacked from the front, rear, or sides, the squad can basically turn in place and get fire on that enemy. So if contact is called from south, enemy south, we all turn and without having to move or fight can literally just start getting fire on the enemy. And from this point, squads will usually transition into a line formation once they start advancing on the enemy, and they'll start moving up in their formations and filling out the line and advancing on the enemy. Basic squad movements, it makes all the difference when you know your squad's working together and covering all the angles. All right. And with that, we're going to move over to our bounding and flanking section here. All right, here we are. We are going to cover bounding and flanking, also known as leapfrogging, moving overwatch, or the buddy system. This is a fundamental military tactic of coordinated movement within a unit. Simply put, this is a tactic to have very least one, preferably two people from the unit providing cover in Overwatch, while the main group advances towards the enemy or while pulling out of an active area. The process can be utilized at the fire team, squad, or even multi-squad level, depending on the situation. Flanking depends on fire superiority that we talked about earlier, along with suppression and communication. Communication is the key to this. At the onset of engagement, you don't tell your squad you're going to advance. They cannot help you. They cannot provide any kind of support, and you're on your own. So here we go. We're going to have a small example here. I got my little German buddies over there at the hole in the wall helping out. All right. Basically, I'm going to simulate coming around the corner. I got contact and Germans at the opening in the wall, 205, suppressive fire. All right, here we go. Flank right, one, go.
Moving. All right, I'm set.
Moving. Set.
Moving.
And, all right. Right one down, pushing in.
Reloading.
Reloading.
All right, good exercise, guys. Good exercise. All right. That is the basics of bounding and flanking. Right there, we have one unit always keeping their fire on the enemy, keeping them suppressed, and allowing the other portion of the team to move up in a flank. This can be pulled in a wide variety of situations and terrain formations. They're generally not this close quarters when it's flanking. Sometimes terrain does dictate it, and that is the definite need for the fire superiority. You need to maintain fire superiority on the enemy, or else they're going to be able to pick your guys off as they try to advance on them. This concludes the basic training. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something useful out of this, and I hope to see you on the battlefield. Have a great day.